this is really horrible, but they actually don't care. They will turn up and they will go, yeah, I'm here to get my $100 an hour, $50 an hour, whatever I'm getting paid. And at the end of the day, I palm off the work and I just go, thanks for the money. And I don't have to edit this. I don't really care. Or it's not my wedding. I don't really care. And that's a horrible, horrible position to be in. And if the couple knew that these people were saying that, like imagine how much that affects the vibe on the day, and imagine how much that ruins the client experience on the day. If I was getting married and I was in that position and I heard someone say that about my wedding, I'd just be like shell-shocked.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Make It Epic Wedding podcast. You're here with Tim and Matt, and what a glorious day it is. How are you, Matt?
G'day, mate. I am doing pretty good for a Tuesday evening. Cannot complain when we are recording this, and whenever you're listening to it. I hope you guys are having a bloody good day today, because me and Tim have had a pretty productive one, and now we're recording an episode, so we are pumped.
Mate, vibes are high, energy is high. It has been great. Start of the wedding season. I just got back from a bit of a family holiday up the coast in Foster. I don't think people realize how much just a break from, almost complete chaos and break from normal tasks and everyday life doings, and just getting out there and just enjoying the company of your family and doing nothing, which is pretty cool. We don't usually do nothing. We hired a boat, did some boating, did some fishing, cooked some food, ate some food. It was freaking phenomenal, man.
What happened with your boat?
Oh, please don't. Please don't.
Just asking for a friend.
Oh man. So we hired a boat. It was pretty cool. The guy because I had my camera and my drone, he's like, oh, do you take photos and videos? I'm like, oh yeah. I'm a bit of a creative. And he's like, oh, do you mind taking some some shots and some videos of the place, and I'll upgrade your boat for you. I'm like, yeah, for sure. That's fine. So flew the drone, got some marketing content for him, showed him, and he's like, oh man, this is so good. He's like, take the big boat. I haven't used it in a couple of weeks. The season's just starting, but it's a much bigger boat for your family. And I'm like, I'm not going to say no to that. Let's jump in. Did some fishing. My daughters caught their first fish, and that was absolutely phenomenal. It's so good just seeing their first of things. I had one daughter, my oldest, who was so excited. And then my youngest, that was running to the other side of the boat because she was scared of it.
It's the polar opposite.
But the boat broke down, and that's where the story
The moral
ends.
of the story is the boat broke down.
Yeah.
And Tim sent a video to some people, and it was quite...
Mate, we were stuck out there for an hour, and it was so windy. It was so windy. It was, my wife was so cold, just trying to cuddle the girls. And we rang the dude, and he's like, oh, I can't leave the shop, but I'm going to ring my mechanic and get my mechanics to come out to you. And I'm like, oh, man. So
while we're just drifting.
I ain't get up. I was near the oyster rack in Foster, if people know where that is. But yeah, look, it was good fun. Other than that, I ended up getting the boat started, got back there. He gave it to me for free, so I didn't have to pay for it. So that was a plus. And
you just got to do 4 hours of editing and give him some footage.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, look, it was a good weekend away. Definitely what I needed to recharge the batteries, and it's things like that make you realize why you need to just switch off, get out in nature and get away from the constant chaos and social media and the dings and notifications. And man, I'm coming into this week with so much to do, but my cup's full, energy is high. Yeah, I'm pumped, man.
Good. And I suppose you can, regardless if you're a creative listening or if you were a couple, it's still probably something you can take out of that little spiel that Tim went on there, which is, I'm excited for you, mate. I'm glad you got away and it looked like a good time. And it's always good to recharge your batteries because the end of this year is going to be wild. But it probably leads into, I guess, what the heck are we talking about today? Because maybe a little bit different. We haven't done one of these for a little while where it's just a bit of a general chit chat, I suppose. And me and you just catching up and having a chat about what is on our mind this week, which is always interesting. And who knows where that's going to go because we actually have not really taken any notes for this one. So, but I feel like probably starting off, probably just leading off from where you, I guess, finish your chat about your holiday you went on. maybe let's just dive into, burnout, what that looks like. It's a pretty big, I guess, a bit of a trigger word for some people. Some people think that burnout is not a thing. Other people get burnt out quite easily. And maybe let's just talk about how we manage it on a day-to-day basis.
Burnout it can be a bit of a trigger word, but everyone has a different threshold to burnout, right? Like I definitely have my own experiences of burnout. And like everyone will experience burnout at some point, like, and especially as a business owner, I think you're more receptive to really like feel the constraints. And especially as a wedding vendor as well, like and any event industry, we tend to hold ourselves to a very, high esteem to produce and perform to a very high standard. And I know like for me, like I need to manage my energy, not take on weddings that I can't perform to my the best ability that I can. And there was a point, man, where I probably about 2 years ago now, where I reached burnout. And it wasn't just work, it was other factors in family and life. But burnout is a combination of everything within your life that affects you as a person, and everyone has a different threshold to it. Now, I don't know, for me, I'm definitely aware of what I need to do within my week, and I would say I'm pretty productive and I'm quite efficient, but I'm also good at saying no to the things that I don't need to do. And I'm good at saying yes to what's actually going to move the needle forward. So, but I think that just happens with time. How about yourself, mate?
Yeah, I feel like, as a business owner, because obviously we are the ones running our business, we have, I don't know, this thought in our brain that we have to work and work and work and work and work and work and work until we no longer can work anymore. And we will find out what burnout is once we hit that I can no longer work anymore level. And yeah, that's definitely different for everybody. And I think last year for most people in the wedding industry, as you all know, if you've been planning your wedding for a little while, you know that 2022 was probably one of the most wild years in the wedding world ever, and probably ever will be. And everyone's still coming off the back of that. There's plenty of people that we have chatted to. So if you didn't know and you're a vendor out there, we have a Facebook page that we throw some ideas up on sporadically, and we try and make sure that we're, especially lately, being a bit more consistent with that. And we asked a question the other week about, burnout and how people tackle it. And there was plenty of people jumping on there saying that they're burnt out already this year. And I feel like the first step in being burnt out is probably to admit that you're being burnt out, to be honest. And it's not easy to do. It's not easy to be vulnerable. And if you're out there listening and you're a couple and you're planning your wedding, you're probably burnt out too from planning your wedding, because you've got your day-to-day job and then you've got your wedding that you're planning as well. That's a big task. So hopefully some of the stuff we're talking about at the moment you can resonate with. For me personally, and what I do, and my wife has been on my back like something fierce lately about some of this stuff, is trying to take the majority of Sunday off. And when I say the majority, I like to send sneak peeks out from a Saturday wedding on a Sunday morning, so I try and get them done. Once I've sent that sneak peek out, I get off the computer and I don't go back on until Tuesday morning. So I've been trying to have majority of Sunday off and all of Monday off. I find it a lot easier to have the whole of Monday off than part of Sunday, and then I don't know, I just struggle with that part situation. I feel like once I'm in my office I want to stay there, but it's not great now. I've got a kid as well and things like that. So yeah, I definitely think that having a day and a half, nearly 2 days off has been it's been nice, and I'm really enjoying it. It's just a different headspace that I've got to get myself into.
So it puts some things into clarity, right? Because you've got to think about it. When you are consistently, just say you're consistently working and working and working, you're saying yes to work, but you're also saying no to other things within your life. And that could be going out with friends, building relationships, enhancing relationships, spending time with family. And I think it's only when you reach a point of failure do you then take appreciation for those things. And maybe we'll save this conversation for another day, but I definitely learned the importance of maintaining energy you know, not just in a wedding season, but, you know, throughout my life. And like, there's certain things that, you know, I need to do to, you know, keep my energy high. And I think already I'm a pretty like energetic person.
I feel like we both are. That's probably why
Yeah.
we rub off on each other a little bit, and we really, I don't know, we motivate each other a little bit too, which I think that helps. And I think having someone that motivates you in your life is someone, you know, that's great to have. Yeah, like someone that you work with, or yeah.
Yeah, I think we've definitely pushed each other creatively. Yeah, like that's
in a lot of ways,
at
really.
At a minimum, man. Like, yeah, we definitely have pushed each other, and that could be, you know, like there's merit in finding a buddy, and obviously, you know, like we are both creatives, you know, that offer a service in the same industry, so we've been able to like work together, push each other in different areas, like within our businesses, and you know, I feel like if you can find someone that can, you know, hold you accountable, because, you know, you critique my films, I try to critique your photos, and it helps like elevate, you know, us to like even further enhance like our client experience. So that it's been very good in that regard. And, you know, I feel like that has helped with, you know, managing our energy as well, because like doing it alone, you're like, oh man, like, is this the right thing? Like, you know, is it imposter syndrome? Like, am I doubting myself? Am I doubting my ability as a creative to provide a service? You know, am I good enough to do this full time?
You end up almost becoming a recluse because you are like it's a lonely world. You work by yourself. You shoot on the weekend with you, and like, you know, for me, I'm pretty extroverted, so I get out there and I get really excited. All extroverted energy comes out of me, and then I come home and I'm like still on a high from it, and I'm sitting in my office and there's no one else to talk to. Yeah. So, you know, like it definitely is great to have, you know, someone like you that like I can chat ideas through with and things like that. And it's a common trait in the wedding industry that people are, I suppose, a little bit lonely and things like that. So, you know, like that's why we did create the Facebook page, the Facebook community, to try and allow people to jump on there and allow people to voice, you know, whatever's going on with them at the time. And yes, it's not easy to be vulnerable on these pages, and it's not easy to say a post or jump on there and say something and ask a question. But for us, I think it's really been it's been a great little thing that we've been doing, and we're definitely keen to continue to grow that community. So I suppose if you're out there, you're listening, and you're like, what is this community you speak of? We might leave it in the show notes this week, or send us a DM on Instagram and we will link you to that. And that's for wedding vendors only. But I don't know about you. I'm just trying to link this back, because if you're a couple out there and you're listening to this and you're like, all right, they're talking about burnout and they're talking about having a buddy to like, you know, be motivated and continue on and doing things like when it comes to planning or making, you know, your wedding amazing, or just like chatting stuff through. I don't know about you, but do you find like when other like, you know, I guess couples have friends or cousins or family members that are either been married recently or getting married at the moment, sort of thing, in a similar process, like how much easier does it make it for them?
Oh man, like it's an interesting world. Like as soon as you're engaged, right? Like because you've never necessarily like thought about that experience or been involved in, you know, like I'm engaged, I've got to plan a wedding. You don't really think about that until it happens, and then you dive deep into this world, and then you see that it is a big world with so many options. There is so many variables to like how you plan a wedding, and it is overwhelming. And we've mentioned that, you know, like many a times on the podcast.
Hundreds of times.
But you know, like, and it's why we started like this podcast, because we love to not only like share our experiences, but to also like showcase the, you know, as we mentioned today, like the power of community as well. And, you know, when you're entering into a world of wedding planning, you want a sense of familiarity. You want a sense of, you know, of comfort, and you're going to look for people who have been married before. You're going to look for advice from sources that you
maybe
find
this podcast.
Yeah, maybe this podcast. And you'll start to see, depending on how deep your research goes, is that there are so many varying opinions. And, you know, this is why it's not a one size fits all approach. And it's why, you know, we talk about find the things that are important to you, find the things that make you unique, and include that like in your wedding. Choose vendors that align, you know, with your vision, your values. Can be pretty simple, but amongst the noise, like it's a very diluted message.
Yeah, I feel like there's always these people out there that are struggling to decide whether they want to do a first dance, even though they don't dance, or do I have to cut a first? I don't. Do I have to cut a cake? Do I? Because I don't really like cake, or like all of these things, and it all comes back to the fact that like it can be a noisy situation, like Tim was just saying, and there's a lot of talk from family and friends, and they're all giving you their 2 cents. And when it comes to this, like find someone that if you have a friend that is planning their wedding also, because typically we all seem to go through similar life stages to our friends, especially when it comes to like getting married and things like that. Like if you can buddy up with somebody or someone who is a keen planner who like really understands you, I think some of that stuff will really help motivate you, push you along, and you'll make smart decisions because you can chat it through with them. And like that's been a massive benefit for me and Tim. And we never thought that like, starting the podcast a year ago, we would have been in this position where we're like, wow, like not only has the podcast been super rewarding, but like, between us, like our friendship's grown and we've also grown in our business because of each other too. So it's a pretty, when we sit back and talk about all of that, it's getting a bit deep there, mate. But
this is the deepest we've gone.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. This is what happens when we don't write a piece of paper down. We start getting all notebooky on each other.
Yeah. But like, I'd like to add that like when you are engaged and you do start planning a wedding, you start to like see like the variability amongst like vendors as well. Maybe we need to do a podcast on how to choose the right vendor for you. I don't know. We mentioned it in the personality episode, but there is I don't know how many weddings are there a year. Like it's a crazy
silly amount. I think the figure last year was like the most they've ever had, and it was like I can't even put a number on it, but I know I shot a lot. So if I shot a lot, then there was a bloody lot of weddings last year.
I have a feeling it's around the 250, 300,000 mark.
How many weddings were there in 2022? All right, TikTok. In Australia, there's on average each year there's about 90,000 weddings. That can't be right. There needs to be way more than that. Anyway, so that's what they're saying. The average number is 90,000. I feel like last year there was a lot more, that's for sure.
Matt, do you know how we rave on about client experience a little? And do you want to know the golden nuggets behind my client delivery system?
Not really, but anyway, I know you're going to tell me, so shoot.
Thanks, mate. Love that. But we're all about leveling up our client experience. And if you're still delivering wedding films to your couples with Google Drive or Dropbox, then you really aren't giving them the best experience, are you? And this is why I use VidFlow. It's a pay-per-use online platform that allows you to deliver on-brand websites with your very own domain for each of your clients while still being incredibly affordable. And VidFlow is accessible on mobile, desktop, and my absolute favorite feature is the fact that it links to your smart TV so your couples can watch their wedding film on their own big screen. And with all that effort that you put into your film, you really want to ensure your couples can have the best experience possible. So use our code MakeItEpic20 for 20% off your VidFlow yearly premium membership. Yeah, but you think about that. There is, 90,000 weddings potentially, probably a lot more than that. But, divide that by, 365 days or even 52, taking into account the weekends. Like think of the amount of vendors that need to be in business to be able to cater for those weddings. And think about not just the business itself, because it's not just a service. There are people, and especially in the creative field, if you're looking for, photography that has a certain style, but you're also looking for videography that has a certain style or elements, and, if you're looking for a deeper connection with your vendors, that cuts the pool quite down considerably. And, every business owner will have an ideal client. They'll have an ideal market. And, for us, our visions and values are quite aligned with our ideal couples. And, it's couples that really, want to build a connection and that prioritize moments, that prioritize, authentic moments within their day.
Want to have fun, the good vibes,
exactly.
All that goodness.
Exactly. Because what was crazy, man? The other day, I heard, I'm not going to mention names or anything or business, but a wedding business has gone into voluntary administration. And there is potentially 300 to 400 couples that, have now been left without a service for their wedding.
It's wild, hey. Like, and it's probably not like, unfortunately, the way that the world's going, it's probably not going to be the only business that's going to be doing this. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to think about that, and it's nerve wracking if you're a couple and you're planning a wedding. Like, that is a nervous thing for me to say to you. Do you know what I mean? Is that like, there are going to be businesses out there that are going to be probably in a similar position to this business, and I feel like this is potentially a bit of a spicy topic, but it comes back to the fact that I personally think that, like, some of these businesses, if you're looking at them and you can't see who owns this business, if you can't see their face on their website, if you can't see that they're going to be the person showing up on the day of your wedding, think twice about who you're booking, because you don't know who it is that is behind that business. You don't know what you're receiving. And a lot of the businesses, I feel like, that do go under are businesses that are trying to feed the masses.
Yeah, like it is a saucy topic. But
was that cryptic enough for you?
Like there is volume brands, right? And there's different business models. So let's just talk about photography as a broad one, right? Like, there is photographers that are a soulless business operator, right? Like yourself, you are a solo business owner.
You said soulless, like as if I was like had no soul. I feel like
yeah, you don't really have soul, to be honest. You're a bit of an a-hole. But like you are a solo entrepreneur. You are a solo business owner. So when someone books you for their wedding, it is you rocking up. Like, you are in charge of that service delivery. But there are businesses on the other end of the scale that are a volume brand, and it is a business model where they do potentially 100, 200, 300 weddings a year, but there's no personal connection. You book a service and you get a service. There's no individual storytelling involved. It's an operator that comes to the day, takes the photos, leaves, and then you get the photos back. There's no sense of personalization. There's no sense of building a connection. And I think that's the opposite of what we are. But there are some people that's are on that end of the scale, potentially those volume brands at a lower end of the market, and they do cater for more of the budget weddings, and that's completely fine. But if that is you, then maybe this is just we're arming you with the information to just make an informed decision.
Yeah, I feel like a good, potentially a good analogy is like, if you hire, like, even if it comes to like things around the house, you're hiring someone and a guy turns up and he's on his van, he's got a photo of his own face, and he gets out of the van and you see it's Dave, I don't know, plumbing, and he's got a photo of Dave on the front, right? You know that you're getting Dave because Dave is the owner. But if you go and you put, I don't know, the same company, and it's like Dave's Plumbing, and a girl jumps out of the car, or a young kid jumps out of the car, or someone that just doesn't look like the person on the front of it, it's going to be you're going to be a little bit hesitant as to like what you've booked and what you've got. And so for us, like, we've always said, and we probably will always say, that we firmly believe that like you should be trying to book people, especially when it comes to like those high priority vendors and the vendors that realistically work solo most of the time, to try and book people that actually are invested in what is going on the day. Because I've worked with some videographers in the past that
of course you're throwing videographers under the bus.
Yeah, I just had to throw it back. Anyway, but I've worked with some videographers in the past that they're subcontractors, and they don't really know any information about the wedding. They don't realistically this is really horrible, but they actually don't care. They will turn up and they will go, yeah, I'm here to get my $100 an hour, $50 an hour, whatever I'm getting paid. And at the end of the day, I palm off the work and I just go, thanks for the money. And I don't have to edit this. I don't really care. Or it's not my wedding. I don't really care. And that's a horrible, horrible position to be in. And if the couple knew that these people were saying that, like, imagine how much that affects the vibe on the day, and imagine how much that ruins the client experience on the day. Like, if I was getting married and I was in that position and I heard someone say that about my wedding, I'd just be like shell shocked. So like, and I'm not saying every single company that like offers these services as like with subcontractors does this, but there are a lot out there that are doing this. And so coming back to like this business and has got into voluntary administration. Like, it's terrible. And there are a lot of couples out there searching for someone to cover this person and this person's company. It's a sticky situation.
It is. And it's really sad. Like, I've had multiple phone calls this week, and, a couple of meetings today, actually, with some of these couples, and their wedding is like 2-3 months away. It is sad. And, like, we're not naming the business, like, we don't know the circumstances around this business. But unfortunately, there's a lot of couples that have been left in the dark to try and find, someone to complete that service, and potentially they may not find someone in the short amount of time, which is super sad. And this is not to, put, any like ill intent on like high volume brands, but like I suppose I have a certain, client that I prefer to work with. You have a certain client that you prefer to work with. We attract a certain persona and personality of couples who are also attracted to our work as well. And, like our values are building connection. Like, for me, it's about telling a story. I want to be able to tell a story to, a couple that I actually get to know. I actually get to find out, the things that do make them them. And it's the same with you as well. So in a way, it does come down to price as well. Like, we are like priced accordingly, but high volume brands are cheaper for a reason. But, the couples that are really looking to build that connection are looking for those vendors, that have those qualities as well. So, and sometimes we forget that, not everyone knows exactly what we know about this industry, and it is pretty sad. So I suppose this is a call out. If you do need help, if you do need some advice, or you are stuck, send us a message. Perhaps maybe we'll do a Q&A podcast episode where we'll answer all of your questions to help you get through that process.
Yeah. And I suppose if you haven't yet booked somebody and you're looking at a few different options, maybe, Tim, just give us a quick little, I don't know, have you got a hot tip to how do you sift through the crowd and pick a vendor that is a solo, maybe is like a solo operator, or does have maybe multiple people working for them full time, and you can see that.
I suppose when you are searching, like, you're going to be looking for their work first, right? You're going to see their work, you're going to feel some type of connection to their work. And then you're going to move on to their website. You're going to move on to their Instagram, and you're going to have a look at more of their work, and you're going to have a look at, full galleries or full films or whatever the service is. But you're looking to see if there's actually a human behind there. And that's really like my golden nugget. Like, how personal is, that service provider? And is that something that you're looking for your own wedding? Do you want to build a connection with someone? Because like for me, like, it's invaluable having someone that understands who you are and the things that really make you truly you, so they can better tell your story and provide a product that is so more suited to you, that it's not a, cookie cutter approach. And this is very common in wedding films, right? Like, a single song, a 5-minute slow-mo like video of the couple kissing. not my vibe, but like some people want that, and that's completely fine. But I'm not marketing myself to those clients, and they're not my ideal client, which is completely fine. And it's, probably the same for you. Like, you have a approach that you attract a client that matches who you want to attract to.
Yeah.
But it's your personality as well. Just like I infuse who I am and my personality throughout my content and throughout my website, and you do the same with yours. So not only, when couples are looking for your work, they're not just judging your work. Like, they're actually connecting to you as a person.
I feel like potentially for me, it's even easier because my business name is Matt Ashton Photography. And so it does become quite easy, right? But for someone like you, Tim, and like I'm using you as an example, is because your business is above below visuals. If people looking at that, they're like, oh yeah, above below visuals, cool. But when you go onto Tim's website, it very clearly says, hi, I'm Tim. It shows photos of him. And so for like me, my little hot tip is like, if the website that you're going on, even if you love their work, but you cannot find anything about the person or persons behind that brand, there may be a little bit of a red flag there, and you need to probably go for a bit more of a deep dive, or at least when you inquire with them, ask the question, are you the person who owns the company, or are you the person who helps run the company? Are you going to be turning up, or who shows up on my wedding day? say to them very straightly, are you sending a subcontractor, and who is that? Because I think at the end of the day, like I've gone through it in the past and I've thought, oh, I could offer a second or an associate photographer to go and shoot for me. And for me, it just doesn't sit right. I've done it. I've tried to do it, and I just can't do it because it's not Matt Ashton turning up to that wedding to capture that day, and they're paying for me. And I don't want to be that person.
This is the thing. Like, Matt, you value connection. Right, you as a person, you value relationships. You value a deeper connection. And it's the same with me. When you're looking for a service, like even services for us, like in relation to the podcast, like we look for like people that we can connect with, not just someone that can deliver a service. And we're assuming that like couples that are planning a wedding are also looking for that, and I think most are, but again, it comes down to quite a lot of factors there. But hopefully this all makes sense, right? Like, what's probably a couple that's planning their wedding right now, and they've got 15, 20 vendors that they want for photography or videography or a florist or any other service. What's your tips here to help maybe like narrow down that search and allow them to choose someone that's probably going to be a better fit for them?
Yeah, I feel like if you're looking, like we've just said, then you obviously got to find the person that is going to align with you. I will say, just going back one step quick, because I just thought about it when you said florist, there are definitely services out there in the wedding industry that can't do things solo. Therefore, there are going to be subcontractors, or there are going to be extra staff members turning up on behalf of that company. So don't get scared off in like the big, every single vendor has to be the person who owns the company.
No, of course.
Because that's not going to happen. So I just wanted to reiterate that. We're probably more focusing here on like photo,
creative services,
video, and maybe even music. The things that are going to like play a lasting effect on the day and can really change the vibe of the day. Maybe for hair and makeup and florist, they all have similar skills and a vibe, and they understand the finished product. But the product is done on the day itself, where we're talking more like this is like, for music, there's like you're hiring someone with a very specific voice and a very specific style. So therefore, that's why you're getting that person, and you want to make sure you're getting that person. Same with photo and video. I think that's really important. In terms of how do you narrow down and how do you find people that, I guess, ultimately the main thing for me is that you want to make sure that they align with what you want. Obviously, if you've got a list of 20 people, you need to sit there and go back through a multitude of work over the last 6-12 months that they've done. Hopefully they're putting fresh content out there. Hopefully they're being consistent and they're showing new things, and they're not just showing the same wedding or like 20 times, or they're not just showing the same 5 weddings 20 times. Like, I think for me personally, I try and share a lot of content from a wide variety of weddings so that people can see my consistency. So if you're not seeing consistency from a wide variety of weddings from a said vendor, that's a little bit of a red flag from me.
That's actually a good point.
If they haven't posted on Instagram for 2 or 3 years, like I know Instagram's not everything, but most people these days are posting somewhere. They're sharing content somewhere. They're maybe at least updating their website. They're doing something. If you are concerned, ask a question. Hey, can I see some of your recent work? It's a weird thing to say. I don't think I've ever had anybody ask me that, but I make sure that I'm posting new stuff consistently so people can see what I'm doing.
Yeah, 100%. And like you brought up the point of, consistency and recent work, and you would probably see, like, I know, I see quite a fair bit, like websites, right? We do a bit of like mentoring to other creatives and other wedding business owners, and we see websites that have put a lot of effort into blogging and journaling and like writing about their weddings and different style weddings and giving advice from their perspective as well. And then you might see some websites that here's a film, or here's like a gallery or two. Which, I think that's, that gives you your answer there as well.
Yeah, content sometimes is king. And if there's some fresh content that you're excited by and it's consistent throughout, I wouldn't say it needs to be consistent over years, because I tell you what, my OG weddings from 5-6 years ago are horrible compared to what my stuff is now. So like, especially if you were seeing a lot of consistent work over the past year or two and you're happy with that consistency, you're happy with what you're seeing on a regular basis, you can have a lot of confidence in booking that said person. And I think that's where it comes down to. If you have a gut feeling as well that you're just like something's a bit off, like, man, trust your gut, hey, because I promise you on the lead up to your wedding, your gut will be screaming at you a whole lot more saying red flag, and you'll be really upset that you didn't listen to yourself back in the day. So there's a lot there to unpack, and I feel like we've dived pretty deep into some of that stuff there. We rambled. We're sorry. We said it was going to be an
20-minute podcast, and here we go.
20-minute podcast, but you let me and Tim ramble, and here we are. But
guess what,
I feel
mate?
like that was important to talk about.
It was. And, hopefully that, that did open your eyes. And if you were affected, obviously Matt and I do apologize for the situation that you were in. And hopefully, like what we have said resonates and you can make a more informed decision next time. But Matt, guess what, mate? Guess what?
Please tell me something positive because I'm feeling a little bit...
No, it's positive. It's positive. So the last couple of weeks, I've done my first giveaway. All right, and
you go.
I have.
How long have you been in business for now, and you haven't done a giveaway?
I have never done a giveaway. Which is pretty crazy. But yeah, so I did a giveaway for an adventure session, and like this is a pretty new service for me. And you know how you have your engagement sessions. Quite a few couples have asked, like, do you do like an engagement session, like in the form of a video, like in film? And I'm like, I've been asked it so many times in the last 12 months. I'm like, you know what? Like, I think this is something I should probably like look into. So I wanted to do a bit of a giveaway, to give away an adventure session. So I did that. And over the last like 3 weeks, I've had over 300 people enter it. And I'm like, man, are they just seeing the value in this, or do they just want a free engagement session?
Probably just a freebie. Yeah, probably just a freebie, but that's maybe. Right. Or maybe it's just your family and friends making you feel good and just commenting on it.
No, I can see it. Right. No need to be an a-hole. But yeah, which is pretty cool.
It's exciting. So, it's great.
It is. So that's potentially a new service that I will be offering. So
I feel like the adventure sessions is big in the States. Like it's a lot bigger in the States, and there's a lot. I like the first few that I'd probably seen pop up were all from there, and I was like, oh, these are amazing. Like it's a pretty cool and different and very personal and unique way to do an engagement session or an adventure session, as you call it. Because you don't have to be engaged to do it.
yeah, exactly. And like the reason I didn't want to call it an engagement session because I wanted it to be about the couple and about an adventure that's unique to them. So like it could be a like epic sunset in the mountains, like looking over like Blue Mountains or a cool location, or it could be in the city, or it could be at the beach and going for a coffee somewhere. So like. It's a session that's unique to them, but I wanted to potentially like further enhance the storytelling aspect. And, it may be something that I include like in their wedding film. It may not be, but it's something for them to look back on and have a video of like the moments potentially before they actually got married. And yeah, like I want to incorporate a storytelling aspect in the form of like a dialogue and narration as well. So yeah, some ideas are flowing. I want to execute on them, hence why I wanted to do a giveaway. So I'll be launching that giveaway this week, which should be pretty interesting. So one lucky couple getting a free adventure session from me.
How good's that? Amazing. Maybe if you're listening and you're like, oh, that sounds all right. Maybe you can, I don't know, hit us up, find out more about Tim's in adventure sessions. Maybe you can team up. We'll do an adventure session together, photo, video. Who knows?
How about that?
That'll be a bit fun. Make it happen. Maybe we'll maybe one day we can do a Make It Epic like giveaway as like from our businesses, but like for Make It Epic. I don't know. Anyway, my mind is racing and I'm rambling again. So
that's right, mate. Well, it's been a great episode. I think we've rambled on a bit for something that I think we said was going to be a bit of a quick one, but yeah, look, it's an important one, and I think we really shine the light on potentially how you could elevate your wedding experience by looking for vendors that align with exactly what you're looking for and your vision, your values. So in saying that, let's end it there, mate.
But if you were listening and you're like feeling a bit sorry for me and Tim because we've got no new reviews and we've had a few weeks off posting episodes or something like that, this is your time to get out of your comfort zone and leave us a nice review, say some nice things about us. Maybe this episode resonated with you, or maybe you've just been enjoying listening to us ramble on each week, and that's okay as well. But we would definitely love to hear from you guys. So jump over to, I think Apple Podcast has probably got the best place to leave that review. So jump over there and do that. Otherwise, make sure you check out some of the stuff we've been bringing out recently on our Instagram, and also check out our new website. We haven't spoken about that for a few weeks. So make sure you check that out. It's www.makeitepic.com.au. And yeah, we've been putting a bit of work into that. So we are excited.
All right, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Are you sick of seeing the plain old written guest book that you'll never, ever read again?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually don't think I've seen mine since my wedding night, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen mine either, which is really interesting. But imagine capturing your guest voices with a retro phone that's a bit more epic and receiving all the recordings as an online gallery.
That sounds absolutely amazing. Imagine all the like different voices you'll get to hear from everybody. Some of the drunken ones, and then also grandma maybe leaving you a cute and romantic one as well.
Sentimental voice memos from Nan and from family members, and then just imagine the boys giving you an absolute roasting.
So
well,
good.
Check out Off the Hook. Use our code MIA50 and get yourself a sneaky $50 discount.